Hello brothers and sisters. As promised yesterday, now that I have free time, I will continue to tell everyone a small story. I was involved in this story and saw it with my own eyes. My brothers and I do not know what we saw or caught that night. Knowledge is infinite, but understanding is limited. So if anyone knows anything similar to what I saw, please explain it to me. In 1992, there were 9 of us in Palin, Bat Dambong, where I just left yesterday. This place is near the TL border, close to Chalthaburi province. At that time it was the rainy season. It rained a lot, sometimes day and night. The forest was old, there were no roads and small floods kept happening. We went into an old house with a roof of corrugated iron, which was quite solid, although it was already dilapidated. This place before Pol Pot retreated and herded people away to build a gathering place for people there. There are quite a few bases like this along the Sao Mi Lai mountain range to here. In the old forests, now almost all are abandoned and ruined or completely destroyed by artillery. We temporarily stayed here to avoid the rain, wild animals, and floods because the location of this place is quite favorable. It is a sparse forest, flat, high enough to observe many directions below. Right next to it there is a stream with a stream. In the rainy season there is a lot of water, although it is a bit cloudy. This house used to be an old base of the pot, so there are very careful defensive trenches around it. Abandoned for a long time so landslides and wild plants grow wildly. Mines are densely planted on the slope below. Between the houses there is a fairly large yard, with pedestals and poles to hang their flags. Right when we first entered, after searching everywhere and found nothing, even though we hadn't entered every house because there were too many, we gathered at the house right in front of the flagpole in the middle of the yard. Probably the house of the Anka commanders because it was more solidly built. There were tables and chairs made of wood, and a proper sleeping place. Scattered on the floor were still dirty, torn black clothes on the ground. 2 pictures of PP and Mao hanging above were tilted but hadn't fallen down yet. The surrounding wooden walls were rotten at the base. Grass and wild plants grew into the house. There were quite a lot of snakes here. We caught dozens of them. Some were up to 4 meters long. The brothers removed the wooden walls of the surrounding houses, lit a fire to roast the snakes to eat, sat and dried the wet clothes for several days while sitting together. 2 younger brothers went down to the stream to get water and ran back to report. It seemed like there was a post. Brother. We quickly spread out and divided into 3 groups and pressed into the stream where the 2 younger brothers had just returned to report. Checked everywhere. No, what did you see? Brother? I asked my younger brother. What did you see just now? He said. S went ahead with a bag of water. I went behind to see if there were any more vegetables, intending to pick them to eat. Then I heard a rustle and then the sound of a jackal a little bit more. Pot often uses code like a jackal making a little bit of a sound. The 2 of us clearly saw 3 or 4 black shadows sneaking right on the side of the stream where the thorny bushes were. Brother. Following the 2 of them's hand, I jumped over the stream and crawled over there, cautiously signaling my brothers to pay attention above and below me. Another younger brother named G crawled after me, but there was nothing on that side. Checking for traces, there were also no traces. The whole side must have been cleared by them before and had been planted with anti-infantry mines, so now there was only kogon grass and sedge. No big trees. Below was a sparse and empty dry dipterocarp forest. My brothers and I observed while moving down. G whispered, "Move to the left. Bro, on the right is a minefield, because on the left is the bank of a stream." I had to look under my feet for fear of mines and look around like a chicken thief. When I reached 2 rather large rocks, I was suspicious of what was behind the rocks, so I signaled G to go around the 2 brothers on either side. However, there was nothing behind the rocks. Looking at the traces, there was absolutely no one. I was too experienced in tracking traces, so I was wondering vaguely, or... Suddenly G cried out softly, "Oh, damn, bro." I turned to him. He pointed down to the lower part of the stream. There were a lot of bones. Ribs with intact boxes, shin bones, spines, all sorts of things. Some black, some white, some yellow, skulls, big and small, and hair. Clumps of black hair mixed in the dirt. About a meter away from us. The 2 brothers looked for a while then turned back up. back on this side of the bank. Raised my hand to signal peace. The whole group gathered together and asked, "See anything, bro?" I said yes, but they all died a long time ago. Probably all civilians. The whole group gradually moved back. I was the first to go when we got close to the row of houses near the stream. I saw a shadow lurking right at the head of the wooden house. L behind me also said, "Hey, it's on the row of houses." I called out to my brothers, "Vey." Then L and I pulled out our daggers and threw them towards the front door of the row of houses. We circled around, but were stunned together, because we didn't see anything. I vaguely saw something. Kai Kai. My brothers and I often joked with each other when seeing spiritual phenomena. We smell Kai Kai, and when we see a shock, we smell a burnt smell, so I told my brothers, "Okay. Let it be. Go in and grill the snake and rest. At night we will cut the guard." We all went into the house and sat around the fire, while eating. We observed the surroundings and sniffed the air. At around 4 o'clock, I stood up and asked T to walk around to get a clear idea of the location. Otherwise it would be hard to see in the dark. In the forest it would be dark at 5 o'clock. T walked behind me, occasionally stopping to look at the abandoned houses. Then mumbled to me, "This is quite revealing, bro." I told him, "Yeah, I think so too." I was suspicious when I was in ease up, but never mind. At night we'll take turns guarding. When we came back, the guys dispersed to the surrounding houses and brought back some planks to sleep on. N happily told me, "Hey, I saw their kitchen. Let's go down there and lie down. It's better. It's still very good. The stove is still intact." We went down to see. It's true that these two kitchens are still quite good. We brought planks back to surround them and put them together to make a place to sleep. Anyone who doesn't sleep can hang a hammock. Then arrange a place to sleep. Cut the attic from the inside out. I agreed. That night it rained all night long. I was tired but I slept restlessly. I had a strange feeling of insecurity. The next day the sun was shining. The whole group of guys were sleeping. Some were sneaking into the rows of houses to look for things left on the ground. They were all tough guys, so they were not afraid and searched everywhere. But if you are a normal person, especially those who often go backpacking or explore places like this in Cambodia, you should not go to places like this because it is easy to get hit by a mine. I lay on a hammock stretched in the corner, where I could observe the entrance and the outside where the mounds of earth were built high. Took out a small notebook to write down. Suddenly I had a very strange feeling. If anyone who had been a soldier knew what it felt like to be shot at by someone else. Like people often say, like someone was watching you. I still lay still, only glanced up to check around. The large kitchen was empty. But on the edge of the fortification outside, I was stunned. A face right on the edge of the trench was staring at me. I swear, it was clearly a woman's face. Short hair to the chin. Messy, emotionless and dark eyes. A dirty face like a layer of smudged coal. The head kept swaying and swaying gently. And the mouth was strangely crooked. The lower part of the body was dimly black. Guessing it was something. So I squinted my eyes, pretending not to see, to discreetly look closely. Because according to what many people taught, wanting to see them, then don't stare but squint your eyes to reduce the light. Because human eyes are bright and sharp, like when you go hunting. You hide and just lie still observing with your eyes. Birds and animals see your eyes and run away immediately without needing to see the whole person clearly. That head kept popping up and down right on the bank. A few minutes later it completely dropped down. I jumped out of the hammock, threw the book and rushed out less than 10 steps, but behind that bank there was nothing. About 2 meters away was the bottom of the ditch, but there was no trace of intrusion. Bewildered. This is not the first time I have seen those images. Strange images, sometimes seen through binoculars from very far away, sometimes faintly about 10 steps away. The closest time was opposite the table drinking water. I looked for T, a younger brother who knows a lot about these kinds of things. He said, "There are many here, brother." My brothers and I finished eating and drinking, carried more sticks to put on the fire, sat and chatted for a while, then slept and woke up as we pleased. Only the 4 of us sat there sharing cigarettes. The rain had stopped since morning. Outside the moon was dim. Suddenly G used his toes to press on my leg. Glanced at him. Following his gaze kicked out 2 rows of old stoves. I saw 1 or 2 black shadows crawling, lurking, then suddenly disappeared. All 4 brothers saw it, but we all kept quiet and pretended not to see anything. Sat a little longer. The brothers went to sleep. I don't sleep much, so I put my head down until 2/3 am when I was tired and then called my brothers to wake up. Otherwise I could stay up all night to guard for the other brothers. Lying on the hammock this time, I hung the hammock diagonally back to the morning position. This place looked out towards the row of stoves. I lay still observing, but saw nothing, just thinking about it and didn't pay attention to the stove. Around 2 a.m. I suddenly jumped and almost fell off the hammock. Because right in front of me I saw a group of them standing right next to our fire that had died down and only had red coals left. Black, skinny, messy hair. My body was cold. Goosebumps. All my hair stood on end. I was stunned for almost a minute, stiff. Suddenly heard 2 or 3 gecko-like sounds. That was the signal brothers called to each other in times of danger to see if anyone was still awake. I started to gag again. It turned out 4 or 5 guys were still awake. I shouted, "Whoa!" Immediately almost the whole group jumped up. That group of people spread out and twisted strangely. 3 guys rushed out the door. I followed. Then saw Thang T standing right at the door of the old stove. He shouted, "Here it is! Here it is!" We all rushed to shine the light inside but saw nothing. Then saw in the sleeping place I heard G shouting, "Damn you, run to the clouds! Lie still!" We all ran in to shine the light. In a corner G was rolling around holding something black. We all pushed in. I didn't know what it was. "What is it?" So shout brothers. Outside the door locked. 2 guys immediately blocked the door. The brothers went to G's place. T jumped in and pressed down with G and kept asking me, "Catch me. Catch me." I shined the light, but I swear to everyone that it was just something like a dirty black torn blanket. Not a person or something, like I thought. I told them to let go. "It's nothing." Then pulled G up. He was breathing heavily. His body was stinking and dirty. His eyes were bulging and said I'd been lurking since the night, so I pounced on him right away. I shouted at T, "Let go, Thang. Let go." He stood up, turned around and smiled and asked me, "Stop it, huh?" We gathered around to shine the light. Strangely, it was just an old, black torn blanket, wet and smelly, not anything else. One guy asked the other about where did this dead come from? Who brought it here? We all looked at each other. Did anyone bring it in? G kept insisting that I caught it, but he struggled a lot, then rushed in to shine the light and mumbled, "Hey, fuck. What the hell is this?" T just smiled and said nothing. I said, "Let's go to the stream to take a bath. Move the nest to the old place." Then everyone noticed that G's body was black and smelly like he crawled out of the sewer. A few days later, only G and I and T asked G, "Did you really catch him?" G said, "Really, bro?" AT went in behind to keep him with me. AT, you know, he was breathing heavily and smelled bad. T just smiled and said nothing. It happened a long time ago. But my brother and I still talk about it from time to time. I believe my brother saw something, because we were closer than blood relatives and never joked around in the forest at night. I don't know what it is, because when I looked at it and shined the light on it, it just looked like a torn blanket and it smelled very bad. Thank you everyone for reading this far.